It's the Fellowship of the Geek Show, a weekly podcast about comics, the comic book industry, and other geek pop culture. Music courtesy of Manny the Martyr. And now, on with the show!
Hey there, everybody. It's the Fellowship of the Geeks podcast. My name is Thomas Chick, and joining me for this episode is Mike Marlowe.
Hey, gang.
Wes Webster.
Hello, all.
And Liz Newman.
Hello, everybody.
Should I ask how everybody's doing?
Great.
Yeah.
Some of us are great, but okay.
No.
Some of us maybe slightly less so.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm impersonating a chipmunk.
Isn't that illegal in this state?
Could be. Maybe it's a squirrel then.
Do we have
That
chipmunks
reminds
in
me of
Texas?
something else. Who knows? Hope everybody's doing okay out there. So what's been going on in your corner of the galaxy, Liz?
Oh, man.
Just remember, you don't have to say anything that will incriminate you.
Yeah.
Right.
Close your ears, Steve.
Go ahead, please do.
Yeah.
Right. Wah, 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 wah. No.
I'll just say that I haven't done a lot.
Say, and that's in
Yeah.
quotes.
But for the next couple of weeks, it might sound like I've got like dip in my lips. It's the only way I can describe it. So
Sounds like a title for a song.
It's also a very Texas description. But anyway.
Believe me, I just heard that to the tune of "Kiss on Your List."
may have came out that way.
One way or the other.
Yeah. So I may not be as chatty, especially with things that start with that sound.
It's a challenge to reword everything to avoid certain sounds, isn't it?
It is, or certain movements,
Uh-huh.
So, but yeah, maybe next week I'll be awake a little more, and yeah, because I've been watching, I guess Lord of the Rings has been on marathon on TV, and
Really? Weird.
on, is it I don't know if it was HBO that I was watching. I've been watching it in two different places, so I don't know if it was HBO and FX, or I know HBO was one of them that's playing it. But yeah, I guess since the TV series wrapped up, which I haven't finished yet,
Me either.
but
I'm getting there.
with what I've seen so far, there was just a few things that I was questioning, so that's why I kind of fell back to the movies, because I don't know if I can read right now. I definitely can't read it as quick as I can watch it, so yeah.
Yep. And that gets tricky, and I will definitely not going off on this tangent, but some of the stuff that the writers in Rings of Power are doing, you might have a hard time finding a precedent for in the movies.
Yeah.
Because they're going off script quite a bit. They're inventing stuff, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
Because it is very entertaining.
I don't, unless it starts changing lore. You know what I mean? If something has been set down and it's been that way, and for hundreds, in Middle Age time since the First Age, you can't go back and go, oh, but wait, they did it over here first. Well, no.
You mean, okay, you're just talking about them repeating lore in a different time. Okay, I don't see them doing that much. There's one bit of the story that I'm not sure about yet. I'm
Yeah.
not sure where it's going, and I'm not sure who a specific character is yet. But because I'm only through the 5th episode at this point, but beyond that, I haven't seen anything super dramatically weird.
Yeah.
I think they've changed characters more than timelines. Well, I mean, they're jimmying with the timeline. You can't get around that. And they've
Yeah.
altered some characters that are to be different from what we're used to, but I think they've done it in the interest of telling a good story, so I'm not freaking out about it or anything.
Right. I don't know. I don't want to give away too much because, like I said, this just wrapped up. But let's say there's like a super evil guy. Okay, we'll say Sammy. Okay. And you bring in this team because Sammy has gotten out of control and you need to find a way to combat it and to fight it. So you bring in this second team. I don't understand how the second team came before the bad guy in this. That's the whole part I've been trying to be like, well, he wouldn't even be here unless Sammy was here, and Sammy's here. He's not the big bad evil yet, so this guy shouldn't be here because there's nothing to fight. So yeah, I'm kind of. And I still don't know what they're doing with the orcs. Maybe I just haven't watched enough yet. I still don't understand what they're doing with the orcs. And it's kind of like, I always kind of took it as orcs were kind of like demons, kind of a second character kind of thing, And, yeah. So, I don't know.
We'll have a conversation about it at some point, but we probably both need to finish the season first.
Yeah.
Just in case.
And because it does look like it's heading to something that's kind of interesting. And like you said, if you take this out of what you already know, it's not bad. It's a good little story that they're telling, know.
It's a fun story, and it's close enough that it gives. I think the sort of the flavor is there, even though it's very different type of storytelling than we might expect.
Yeah.
But I'm doing my best to not let that. I'm not using that to judge the story. At least that's how I'm telling it to myself.
And I don't know a lot about Lyndon or Nemor, so that story's not bothering me either. Right. I've heard people were upset at that, and it's like, I don't know anything about that. That came before me. So.
Yeah. Again, I'm sure we'll talk about this when we're done watching.
Yeah. But, yeah, other than that, like I said, I haven't done much. But one thing on Lord of the Rings, great story and everything else, but sometimes the nerd in me kind of zones out on the effects that went into this movie. I don't know if people fully understand that when these movies were made, he didn't have a lot at his disposal to do that with. He was groundbreaking some of this stuff in order to pull off what he did. So some of it, it's just like, wow.
Yeah, Weta.
Wow.
For one, Weta Workshop was basically invented. I mean, it sort of existed. There was a couple of people. The Lord of the Rings movies exploded Weta Workshop, and they did a whole bunch of inventing shit on the fly to get all that stuff to look the way it did.
Yep.
And if you think about it in that way, it's even more amazing than it was when you thought it could have been done by ILM.
Yeah, well, and then I was about to say that's basically the modern equivalent of ILM, because ILM basically came into being just to do Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I said it's wow, I watched a thing that they did, some of the behind the scenes where he was showing some of those sets, and some of these sets had to be built like 4, 5, 6, 7 times, But even now, after seeing some of that stuff and watching the films again, there's so many little bitty details that he put in there that if you're not like paying attention, you'll totally miss it. But when you see it, it's like, God damn, you know, he did that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that literally didn't exist until that
Yeah,
scene. Yep.
yeah. So I definitely would recommend it if you haven't seen it. But not only that, just I think maybe there's an anniversary coming up. Maybe that's why they're playing them. But
They might actually have just been playing them because of Rings of Power, to be honest.
Yeah, probably.
Just to drum up interest.
yeah, now since that's over, come watch this. And they're talking about another one. And I don't know, is Peter Jackson on board for that too?
I don't know. I've only heard whispers at this
Yeah.
point.
And I've heard a lot of people say they'd come back, and then I've heard a lot of people go, no. Like Elrond, he was like, I was an elf that doesn't age, and I've aged.
He's aged a bit since 1999, so yeah.
He's like, there's no way to play that off to where it would look good.
They were pushing their
you know?
luck using him in the Hobbit movies,
Yeah.
and that was only that was more than 10 years ago now.
See, and some of them have said that the amount of time that it took out of their life, you know, that they didn't want to come back and do that again. Which, hey, understandable, you know.
Yeah, I mean, just being shipped off to the end of the world
Yeah.
for months at a time. I mean, New Zealand's great and all, but it's not home for everybody.
Right. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Gorgeous, yeah.
But it's also thousands of miles away from home.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Excited to hear more about that one for sure.
Yep. Cool. Well, okay. I did something very different. I mean, like I said, I'm still trying to keep up. I'm keeping up. I assume I'm keeping up with, at least with Liz on Rings of Power. I am obviously a couple of I'm not to the end, so yay. Which
I think
means
you're an episode ahead of me.
Oh wow, I passed you. Cool.
You passed me.
I won't talk about episode 5 then. But no, I did something kind of on the other end of the spectrum. I watched something utterly terrible, and I knew I was doing it when I started. And part of me wants to blame Les, but he didn't actually hold a gun to my head and make me watch this, although he did suggest it. But I'm not going to blame Les.
Rats.
I
Park the bus.
I tracked down the actual film version of Manos, the Hands of Fate.
Oh, God.
Instead of watching like the MST version or the Riff Tracks version, because there are both.
Mm-hmm.
I needed to know, because it's actually fairly, I mean, you can tell it's a terrible movie when you're watching the Riff Tracks or MST versions. But they make it fun. I wanted to see what it was like when it wasn't being made fun, when it was just what it was. Man. I didn't realize, because of the necessities of the riffing aspect, I didn't know how horrible the music was in this movie.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it's mixed on the version I saw, which is on Tubi, by the way.
Okay.
The music is actually really loud. It's not in the background at all.
No.
It's louder than the actors at times. I am also convinced that only one actor in this entire movie had any kind of script. I could be wrong, but I am still convinced that is the case, and that was the master, because there's no way he could have rattled some of that shit off that it wasn't written down. There's no way that came out just out of his brain in that moment. But nearly every other piece of dialogue in this movie was clearly made up on the spot, because there's just too much repetition. People are just saying the same thing over and over again in a scene. Not like saying it once and then 20 minutes later in another scene saying it again. No, like 3-4 times in a row. And just wow. Just wow. There's a little bit. It seems like they probably cut out, because Les had mentioned that they'd cut some stuff for the riff versions. I think it was the violence that they must have cut out, because I don't remember some of that stuff. But they really should have left it in, because it's really funny how bad the violence in this movie is. I mean, okay, yeah, sure. The one guy slapping the hell out of one of his wives, that was pretty bad. Although they shot it so that it was all inferred. But when they were allegedly sacrificing Torgo, oh my God, it looked like a tickle fight. They were clearly hitting him, but they were also clearly trying not to hurt him. And it was just hilarious. And then he gets up and walks away from it. So, I mean, I don't know what exactly they were supposed to be sacrificing, but anyway. It's a hoot. The only person I would recommend doing this is someone who has a proven track record of liking terrible movies. If you're an MST3K fan, I'll almost give it to you. Yes, you should probably watch this movie unadulterated by itself once, just to get the nuance that gets glossed over from the riffing, just out of necessity, because they can't play it at full volume. But the sound in this movie is just so bad. And the acting is barely acting at all. It's mostly just people running around in a desert, yelling occasionally. It's funny. In retrospect, looking back at it, it's hilarious. It was a little bit painful to watch, but having watched the whole thing, it is hilarious. Apparently, I looked it up. Apparently, this movie was made on a bet. It was one of those, I bet you I can just... making a horror movie is really easy. I bet you I can just do it on my own. That sort of bet. I mean, technically the dude won because he made a movie. It wasn't a good movie, but he made it. The director, after this movie was screened, admitted that it was a terrible movie. And he was still proud of it, but he said, "Oh yeah, it's awful, but I love it anyway."
And did they do a sequel?
They've done a couple. They've done a prequel and a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
And the young girl who played the child,
Yeah,
was involved in, I think, the sequel.
Yeah, I seem to remember something.
Which was like 40 years later.
Right.
It was like 2018 or something.
Yeah, because of the popularity from the riffing.
Yeah, because it became such a cult hit after. And honestly, I find it funny. The MST guys actually blame one of them specifically for this. They blame Frank Conniff.
Frank, yeah.
Yep, because apparently he was the one that screened films that were sent to him. He did the first watch and either gave a thumbs up or thumbs down on whether they should do it or not. And he's the one who gave this one the thumbs up to do it. Much to the chagrin of everybody else involved in the process. They all hated it.
Yep.
I suspect even Frank hated it, but he did it anyway.
That doesn't mean he should pay penance for it.
Oh, right. No, absolutely not. I doubt there's a lot of penance involved. I think they're just giving him shit.
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
No, that's all I got.
Okay. Les.
Well, first, I want to thank my cohorts here for delaying this a day so I could go to a book signing for Joe R. Lansdale's new book in the Mad Mountains, which are short stories that Lansdale has done that were inspired by H.P. Lovecraft.
Cool.
Lansdale has a tendency to use Texas, East Texas particularly, for his stories, which are fun, and they are interesting for sure. Also there they had his latest Hap and Leonard book, Sugar on the Bones, which I'm looking forward to reading also. Now, as far as what I did this week, I want you guys and I want our listeners to make a list of the dumbest creatures for movies. I've got 4 of them right here. First is the giant claw with the pterodactyl, or whatever you would like to call it, attacking cities. The horror of Party Beach.
Oh, God.
which strikes me as funny because it looks like a character with a lot of hot dogs sticking out of its mouth.
Yes.
Nice.
And you just look at it and you go, this is a horror?
So it's Joey Chestnut, basically.
Yeah.
That was done by MST as well.
Was it? Okay.
Yes.
Well, I'm sure
that's how I know about the movie.
Well, I'm sure the other would be the same way. The Creeping Terror.
Yes.
Which is unusual, and especially when they get to the dance scene where the kids are having a big prom, not a prom, but a big dance at the high school. And you just look at it and you go, what the hell? Because when the monster comes in, nobody really runs away. They just kind of stand around and.
Yeah, I think that was actually a season 1 episode.
Oh, well, I can understand that because
back from when they were in Minnesota. Not that. I mean, this is pre-Comedy Channel.
Pre-Comedy Central, right?
Yeah.
See, and I don't know that I've seen that movie, but I'm pretty sure I've seen the scene you're talking about.
Yes. I remember that scene.
Horror of Party Beach also was considered the first monster musical.
Oh, God.
That's another reason not to watch it, but okay.
Third movie is the Creature from the Haunted Sea, which is kind of weird. These are all kind of intermingled. They're everywhere from 1957, I think, to around 61, but they are just horrendous.
Yeah, you're definitely hitting an era here.
Yeah. which I enjoy. I love, as I've told so many people, I enjoy bad movies, and this was one of them. Trying to read my handwriting for the last one. Obviously, I didn't write it down real well. I don't recall what it is now. But let us know what monsters you find absurd. And yeah, watch the riff tracks, but these are all on Tubi, so I recommend them just to watch the straight version.
Yeah, be careful with that recommendation that he's throwing out there, people. I'm just warning you.
Really.
Hey.
Well, and let if you want an extra ooh factor, I don't remember where I read or heard this. The horror party beach. The leads, the romantic leads, are brother and sister in real life.
Wow.
That'll put a damper on you, won't it?
Yeah.
That's just wrong.
Ding, 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 ding.
Right? Damn.
Like I said, I don't remember where I heard that, but I read that, but I did. I was like, oh boy, that really changes that movie.
Wow.
Not that it was that good anyway, but wow.
Well, if we want to talk about, just throw one out there off the top of my head. Bride of the Monster.
Okay.
So the monster, what they did for the monster was they borrowed a monster suit from another movie, which I can't remember off the top of my head which movie it was, and they just sort of laid it on a floor in like a puddle of water because they couldn't. I don't remember if it's because they couldn't get anybody to wear it or if they didn't have anybody that would fit in it. And so it was just laying on the floor. And when they were being attacked, when the people who were being attacked by it were just sort of laying on top of it, writhing around.
Mm-hmm. Grabbing the arms, making it look like it was actually trying to.
Yeah, making it look like it was moving on its own. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Which was kind of faced in the movie about Ed Wood, where Bela Lugosi just lied in the water and started thrashing about and taking the legs of the octopus or whatever and tried to slap himself with them as they were filming. Fun stuff. But like I said, I would like for you folks and our audience to let me know what goofy monsters they are. Because there were plenty of them. Do what?
Mine is the turkey from Thanksgiving. 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Is that the puppet they had?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And the second would be the worm that's in the fourth one.
Damn.
I didn't realize there was a fourth. Wow.
I thought there wasn't a second.
No, there's 3, but there's a fourth one because they didn't do a third, and that's like the running joke. Yeah.
Okay, it was the third one that didn't exist.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're trying to find the lost copy in the fourth one. So, like, please don't.
Right.
Boy, that's such an original idea. Didn't Mel Brooks was going to do that with Spaceballs?
Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money?
Yes. Something along those lines.
Yeah.
That's also how the History of the World Part 2 was supposed to turn out, but somebody actually screwed around and did that.
Well, I think they're actually working on a Spaceballs too. I don't know that for a fact, but how can you do it without John Candy?
I'm not sure how you can do it without Mel Brooks. I'm sure he's an executive producer on it, but he's also 93, 94 years old. I don't imagine he's getting out much.
Yeah, well, I don't think Mel had real much to do with History of the World Part 2. And from what I saw of the trailer, I'm like, yeah, it looks like Mel wasn't involved. Oh, God. Anyway,
tangents.
Yeah. Oh, that's it for me, so.
Yeah, less
Pretty
throwing
cool,
down
though.
horror month homework for everybody.
I
Jeez.
know. It's like made me think.
Yay.
Oh.
Yeah, I found out. I don't know if it's the merger between AT&T and Dish, but I've got like all these extra channels on my cable stuff now, and I found out like in the 4,000 channels, there's a horror channel that plays Elvira like all day long.
Oh, that's cool.
All day long.
Nice.
I didn't realize how much her movies that she played had sex in them until, like, you guys were talking about the music. When they're moaning and everything else, and that's the loudest thing. Of course, Phil pokes his head in, and he's like, what the fuck are you watching in here?
You got his attention.
And should I be watching this too? And it's like, it's not porn, and then Elvira comes on the screen. I swear it's not porn.
She was on broadcast TV. She couldn't do porn.
No.
She couldn't do actual porn, and she couldn't show the fun bits if she did, but there was definitely a theme running there, if that wasn't obvious from her dress.
Yeah, but talk about bad
Or
movies.
themes.
I don't know if she played a good one.
Oh, yeah, no, why bother?
Yeah.
It's more fun to do the bad ones.
But I hope it's not something they're doing just for Halloween, you know?
Right.
It'd be nice to have an all-horror channel. That sounds like horror channel with the way my mouth is right now.
We gathered it from context. It's cool.
Yeah, it's not porn.
Speaking of a little Bela Lugosi, I had forgotten this until I was just reminded. He is the star of the month for TCM. Wednesday,
really?
Wednesday nights they're doing Bela Lugosi movies.
Cool.
Oh.
I believe it's Wednesday nights. It's either Tuesday or Wednesday. I can't remember right now. So for the month of October, he is the star of the month.
Sweet.
That's cool.
That's cool, yeah.
I meant to mention that before, but I had forgotten. So, for me, not a lot. I've been working on the films that we're doing for this month. Got one more to go after today. I had plans for next year already set up until prior to a recording. I went and looked, and all those videos went private. Thank you, YouTube.
Oh,
So like, oh, okay, I got time, but shit. So I gotta figure something else out for next year. But hey, I got time. I'm just glad I didn't announce it because
that would be
it
uncharacteristic, and also
And speaking of YouTube, I'm continuing my whole body cam kind of rabbit hole going down and all that. And you talk about the chipmunks. There is one of the channels where they basically show like the chases. And the thing is all the videos are sped up, so the chase is going a little bit faster. And I was like, wait a second, because it was very distracting because everybody's talking like they're freaking chipmunks. you know how officers are always going, okay, well, we just passed by this intersection, we're still speed and all that, and everything's going like Alvin and Theodore and Simon is like, oh my God.
Right. Play him at double speed, and that's what it sounds like.
Oh God. So freaking irritating.
You could probably find the play speed on YouTube and slow it down.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
But who'd want to?
I know, right? That would change the whole tone of the thing. You
It'd take too long.
couldn't play yakety sax in the background anymore.
What else have I discovered on YouTube? I was telling them prior to recording some of the videos I saw that are very incredibly funny, but some of them are pretty sad too. But the one of the woman who is drunk calling to complain about her AT&T bill, and she's calling 911 not once, but apparently 3 times. Like,
Yeah.
There was one that there was one of them that was arrested because apparently she called 911 8 times, and it wasn't for a non-emergency. They were like, "Oh shit, what the hell's your problem?" So yeah, needless to say, she was arrested.
Mm.
It's interesting to see. It's interesting to see what they encounter. Some of them are obviously very scary. Some of them are downright stupid or goofy. One of them I just watched prior to recording. I had heard the story. I had seen the story before, but this was the actual, a lot more of the body camera, and this was from 3 years ago. Officer pulls over this guy in a Stinger, and was going like over 100 miles per hour down the streets. This is like 2 o'clock in the morning. And he's 22. The driver's 22, and it's on the first date with she's 24, and she's like, "It's my fault. I'm wanting to go home and da 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 all that." And so he goes light on him, but just says, "Hey, just go slow down, please." And next thing, it's about 5 or 10 minutes later, there's a call about an accident. And he responds to it, and he gets out and starts heading up there, and he's like, "Oh God, it's the same car," and both of them are dead.
Man,
that hurts.
Yeah, and I'm like, God, that's gonna haunt him the rest of his life.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He is literally the last person they saw,
and he told
says,
them to slow the fuck down.
Slow down.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were speeding, and there was a big rig coming out, and it was in their way, and they veered off and then went right into one of the support beams for overpass.
Mm.
You're just like, wow.
Oy.
Sorry to bring everybody down, but but yeah, I just, God.
It's enough to get your attention, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, then the deal with
You would hope.
Yeah, hopefully. And the deal with this whole body cam thing is, I mean, it's definitely a look at humanity.
Yeah.
Kind of whether you're ready to deal with that or not. But
Yeah. I mean, we know why they're doing it. The protect the public and protect them, but it just, it's a freaking mirror showing the good and the bad in this.
and unfortunately, it's probably skewed towards the bad. But
It's
cops.
Cops, right?
They're the guys we send in to deal with bad stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's right.
Yeah. So that's why I keep going back to the stuff that makes me laugh. It's just
Sure.
like, okay. I need to get away from this shit.
It gets heavy.
Yeah.
It can.
So. All right. Let's go ahead and take a quick break, and then we'll get back into this week's discussion. Welcome back. We are continuing Horror Month in our theme of Jack the Ripper or Jack the Ripper inspired movies. With today's entry, this is from 1953, Man in the Attic, with Jack Palance or Palance.
Palance.
I always heard Palance.
Well, I've heard 2 or 3 different, so I've always said Palance, but I've heard a couple, so yeah, we'll go with Palance. That's fine. And in the leading role is the Man in the Attic. Francis Maaaybe, I believe how you pronounce it. Among cast, and if you'll be familiar with her, she was Aunt Bee in the Andy Griffith Show.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Bouvier.
Thank you. I knew I screwed that up.
No.
So let's talk a little bit about the Man in the Attic. Let's get your thoughts.
Well, I liked this one. I don't know. I would have probably ended it a little differently than they did.
How would you have ended it, Liz?
Well, I think it would have been cool if they were wrong. You know? To where all of it could be explained and it was actually the little prick cop dude, you know? He was like too much. I didn't care for him, you know?
He did a good job of playing a dick.
He did. A little too well.
Maybe. Yeah.
But,
read that however you want, right?
I see what you did there. Or I saw what you did there. Anyway. Go ahead.
Then almost to the end of the movie, when the dog started yelping, it was like, no. I know they wouldn't make me watch a movie where he's killed that dog. So I'm glad he didn't. But it just goes
he's
to
not
show
a monster.
Always trust the dog.
The dog liked him at first.
At first. Then he saw he was a killer, and he was like, dude, get out of here.
He even admitted that he accidentally hurt the dog.
Yeah, that was a cover, though.
Okay.
He did hurt. I don't think it was accidentally. Because he was like, oh, I didn't want him to get contaminated. No, you hurt the dog because, you know, you're a killer.
Wow. So judgy.
So judgy.
So judgy.
I just don't like people who go around murdering people. You know?
Well, I mean, fair enough. It's a little odd given the movies you watch, but fair enough.
Yeah.
I don't get how he was like, okay, none of the fingerprints match. You know, even if they switched hands, none of them mattered. You know, it didn't match or anything else. But then they find a picture of his mother, and they're like, oh, it's him. Well, why couldn't his mom be the first victim of Jack the Ripper? I mean, right? Why does that make him the killer? You know?
Oh, Liz, you're fucking killing me here.
But, so, yeah. But other than that, I really liked it. The lead actress, absolutely beautiful. It was nice to see B. That's what made me like it to begin with. But she played B in this movie. Same hairdo,
there wasn't
everything.
yeah, Aunt B was kind of. I
The
guess she
nosy
had a type.
busybody.
I guess she
Yep.
had a type, or was typecast somehow in the Andy Griffith Show. Just a couple of years later, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah,
Huh.
Andy Griffith was late 50s, right? 57, 58 it started? Am I wrong? Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think you're about right.
That
Yeah,
sounds about right, yeah. Because Opie was little.
Late 50s, early 60s at the very latest.
Yeah.
1960, apparently. So
Okay.
yeah, not that far
There you
off.
And she was in The Music Man with Opie
Yeah.
as a child.
Well, she had a bit part in the original of The Day Earth Stood Still.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's right. She was in that.
Although, in the beginning of the movie, when the first girl's getting killed, did you guys recognize the music? I had to stop everything. I'm on drugs, but I had to stop everything and look this song up because it was like, I know I've heard this song before. It was Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Do 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 do. I swear, I even backed the movie up and sitting there listening to it. It's like, that's what it is. That's what it is.
I think that might have been the drugs.
So, no, you gotta listen to it. I know what I heard. But yeah, so it's like, huh. And this movie came way before that one did, so.
Oh, before. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Mr. Spielberg's got
20
some
years.
explaining to do.
More than 20 years.
No, you're talking about John Williams.
Hmm.
He
Was
did
that
the
a-
music.
Yeah.
That was a John Williams score.
Yeah. Yeah, but I thought that was pretty cool.
Interesting.
But I also liked that they gave us the story, but never directly pointed at him until the very end. That was kind of nice, and
You could argue that they didn't point at him either. I mean, the way he treated her at the end was bad, and that would be enough reason to chase him down.
yeah.
They never really confirmed anything, which is not totally out of character because they didn't in the first time we watched this movie either.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
is
at
why
first
Liz
I
is
thought I
killing me.
was wrong until they went to the university. He was like, yeah, he's one of the most well-respected persons on staff. So it's like, huh. So he is there every night working with blood.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know he was bringing his own supply. But
Well, and one of the big conspiracy theories at the time even was that it was obviously someone with medical training who was the Ripper killer, who was killing that killed those 5 women. The reason you're killing me, Liz, is I don't know how much you looked up this movie.
I didn't.
This movie is a straight remake of The Lodger.
Yeah.
Except for the parts you didn't like, and the way you described how you would have done the parts you didn't like fit The Lodger better.
Yeah.
So obviously you would have really liked The
I would have
Lodger
liked it.
if you could have gotten over the fact that it was silent. And I'm not saying that, I'm not slamming that. I mean, there are lots of people that don't do silent movies. I wanted to make sure you understood that this is what you described, the way you would have changed this movie would have given you the movie you weren't able to watch a couple of weeks ago. Like almost to a T.
Maybe I'll have to go back and rewatch that one then. Or watch that one.
Yeah, you don't have to listen to it.
And hence the reason why he was really interested in your opinion of this.
What I'd say, yeah.
Mhm.
Well, see, when they talk and tell me things, I like it.
Right, and that's fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I mean, I admit to being slightly weird in liking silent films.
Yeah.
And it's because I can separate, and which is the other weird part about me liking silent movies so much is that I am kind of an auditory person otherwise. I'm the kind of person that to remember something, I have to hear it.
Yeah.
I'm an auditory learner. I used when I was back in school, I could just go sit in class and listen to the stuff being said, and I didn't really have to work that much otherwise because I would pick it all up from what I was hearing. And and even now, if I need to remember something, I will say it out loud, even just to myself, so that I can hear it, so I will remember it better. But silent movies, which may be why silent movies are so fascinating to me, is because it takes away the part of me that works best, and I kind of have to work at it a little harder. So maybe that's just me being, maybe that's just sort of my brand of self-torture. I don't know, but yeah, it makes me have to pay attention more.
See, it's weird. I don't like silent movies because I'm the weirdo that puts closed captioning on TV all the time.
Well,
So, you know.
I've got Tubi has just decided that I need to have closed captioning on all the time.
Yeah.
I didn't do it. I've turned it off, and the next time I go to watch something, it's back on again. It's defaulted to on, and I can't turn it off. And I've just finally accepted it and just let it go because sometimes it's funny.
Well, you pick up so much more. They sometimes they'll even tell you the background thing. When we discovered closed captioning during Sons of Anarchy, and there was so many background conversations that you miss when you're not reading it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, oh, I didn't know that was said. Well, you didn't have closed captioning.
See, and there's stuff that I would have missed. Not important stuff, but like, because I mean, it's apparently my Kindle Fire Stick that has done this to me because it does it on Prime too, and so Rings of Power has defaulted to closed captioning being on, and I don't even try to turn it off anymore because sometimes it will stuff that you can barely hear in the background, it puts it on there, and I'm like, oh, well, that's interesting. I would have missed that otherwise.
Or misheard it.
Yeah, or misheard it. And it's often not really important stuff, but sometimes sometimes the not important stuff is important too. It at least presents a mood.
Yep.
So yeah.
So I definitely like that, but I don't know what it is about silent films, so.
Don't worry about it.
I think too, if I would have known going into that movie, that's what I was expecting. But like I said, the first 10, 15 minutes, I'm sitting there going, are they going to say anything?
Did I hit the mute button? What? No, I must have not because this terrible music is playing.
Right. Yeah, they had that music, and it was like but some of the older films you never know because the opening credits are like 10 minutes long,
Right.
But they solved that now. They put the end credits to be 50 to 60 minutes long.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's like they decided they needed to show everybody involved in making the movie.
Yeah, when they list the caterers, you wonder.
Oh, yeah, individually, right. Every single person that works for the catering company, right. It's, I mean, it was, honestly, it was those Lord of the Rings movies in the 90s and 2000s that kind of hit that one for me. I was like, dear Lord. The end credits, I mean, these are long friggin' movies, and the end credits are almost as long as the movie. I'm like, God, do we really?
But they give you cool music to listen to.
They do. Which is a plus. But also, you can go buy the soundtrack and get that.
Yeah.
But anyway.
It's not the same without people's names scrolling over your screen.
I see, I think that's just a movie thing that I don't necessarily need. But okay. What you do you. It's fine. No problem. Anyway, Man in the Attic. I really like this version of this story. I thought Jack Palance was, I mean, for it being an early role for him and an early lead role, he carried this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't mind him carrying this movie. He does that slightly off the wall villainous type exceptionally well all throughout his career. And so I'm here for it. It's fine. It's great. And yeah, I thought the changes to the story itself, I don't know. Some of it was a little much, and I liked the ending of The Lodger better because he wasn't the killer, and so I was a little disappointed that they didn't really. I mean, they chased him around, and then he went in the river. Spoilers. And they never really confirmed or denied anything after that. It was just they just went straight to the end credits, to the end flag banner title thing. So it was a little disappointing. I mean, I don't know. It was fine. The movie was really good up until then. I will admit to a little bit of bias against the musical numbers they added into this version. I thought that was unnecessary.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, it's fine. It's just the deal is there was a lot of that happening at that time. It was a time period thing. I mean, this is the early mid 50s. Musicals were big, and so they were adding songs into any movie they could find a way to cram one into. And this had a character in it who was actually a singer at a theater. And so it made sense for that. But, I mean, they weren't that great anyway, in my opinion. And they were long, I thought. But, again, I'm biased because I don't like that sort of thing. So, I mean, it's fine. I'm not mad about it. I just thought it was a little overly done.
A little much.
Yeah, it was just slightly overdone. And they were trying too hard to do that for whatever reason. I mean, they had reasons for doing it because it was popular, I guess. I don't know. They're trying to tie in record sales or something. Who knows? But it kind of made sense to the story, though, so I can forgive it. And yeah, I thought this was a little lighter in tone than The Lodger, because I mean you can get the banter, which is the one thing you're not really ever going to get in a silent film. So there we are. But yeah, they chose to fill the silence in this movie, and they chose to do it with, like you said, Aunt Bee and the guy playing her husband.
Yeah.
And the chatty maid. And so there's a lot of chatty people with British accents of various types. And, it is what it is. It's fine. They're trying to balance out Jack Palance a little bit. So, whatever. I don't think it needed it, but I'm biased.
Personally, I was not that impressed with this one. I preferred The Lodger. This one seemed a little preachy. And granted, the case of Jack the Ripper was never solved. But this one kind of made sure that you knew that it wasn't solved. Palance Palance diving into the water and playing Aquaman and walking on the bottom of the river. I wasn't that impressed with. I enjoyed the first one we watched a lot more, and I'm of the opinion I would watch The Lodger again before I'd watch this. Now that doesn't mean people shouldn't watch this. It was just my particular want to do that, and not necessarily the opinion of all. Palance was good. I'll grant that. I thought one of the best characters, one of the best actors in this was the old man. I thought he was fun because he was constantly at odds with his wife, and he wasn't going to give ground, that's for damn sure. So I enjoyed him a lot. The wife was okay. Not really something I would write home about, but supposedly she was a good actress. I'll grant that. But I just don't know that this was one of her greatest starring or co-starring role. So, not to say I wouldn't recommend it. Just not one of my favorites.
You just recommending the other one more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay. You mentioned the husband. I had seen this a long, long time ago, and I had forgotten that I had. But I like this actor. I did not realize he was in this movie until started watching it. He guest starred on a season 1 episode of Mission Impossible as a leader of a Eastern European country who is having heart issues and was dying. And it's an episode called The Train. And I like that episode, and I like him in it. I enjoyed the character, so I kind of tied him to that character. So seeing him in this, I was like, oh my god. It's one of those things where an actor becomes really popular, and of course him or her. Then all of a sudden you start seeing them in stuff that you'd seen several years in the past, and oh my god, I didn't know they were in this film or this show. It's that kind of thing. It's always kind of cool for me. I don't know about anybody else, but it's always. And I just saw him within the last couple of months guest star on a episode of Bonanza, and I was like, okay, so it's kind of cool seeing him. So it was a treat seeing him in this film. Yeah, I mean, Aunt B was Aunt B. I mean, and that's fine. That's
Right.
okay.
It worked in this case.
It worked for this movie.
Especially, like Les says, as a counterbalance to Reese Williams.
Right.
To William.
Yeah. I do like this stuff. I do like this film. I remember when I saw it the first time back, I was like, ooh, okay. I'm not sure what caught my attention other than possibly seeing it was Jack Palance, go, oh, okay, I'm going to stop down and watch this. And yes, he's good. He's good in this film. He's very good in this film. I definitely like the look of it. So I would definitely recommend this film. Y'all mentioned the detective being a pain in the ass. Yeah, that got a little irritating, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure what the thinking was with that.
At least he was less creepy than the one in the lodger.
True.
Because the cop in the lodger was really all over her pretty much the whole movie. Whereas this guy is clearly flirting, but not like predatory.
And not well.
Right.
He didn't do that well at all.
Mm-mm.
Right.
Well, she was kind of playing it all, though. Kissing one guy and then runs off to the museum like 2 seconds later with another guy. So it's kind of like, eh.
Yeah, that's not that different from the first one either. But it was clearly written as a love triangle in some form or fashion, because that makes it all the way through. But yeah, how weird and stuff each of the characters is specifically varies a bit.
And I've never understood movies where the girl meets the guy and talks to him like once and, I'm so in love. No, you're not.
Well, didn't we discuss that before?
Yeah, we have.
Probably.
It's a current theme in these movies.
Wasn't that the whole point of Time After Time?
Mm.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
They were still doing it 25 years later after this one. So, yeah.
It's like, we ain't got time to show you guys this shit.
Clearly it's
they like
a movie
each other,
thing.
okay?
Right. Probably harkens back to a time when you would meet somebody like that, and then you wouldn't see them again for a year and a half or something. And so what you've really fallen in love with is the image of them in your head.
Lust.
That too, potentially, yeah. But they didn't talk about it that much,
so
they used the word love. It's
like,
just like any other song in the modern era of rock and roll. I mean, anytime you hear the word love, if you substitute the word sex, it's the same song.
Yeah.
It's just exactly the same thing. That just became the commonplace word for talking about getting your freak on. But you couldn't say getting your freak on in the 50s, so they changed it. They said something different. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to have to start looking that up now that you've recommended it.
Yeah, you'll never hear Buddy Holly again in the same way.
No.
Or the
Truly
Beatles,
a
for that
shame.
matter.
Oh, okay.
I hope I didn't just ruin everything for everybody. I won't call it universal, but it's pretty widespread.
You'll get your due punishment.
Oh, probably. Maybe this is me getting you back for Manos Hands of Fate. I don't know.
Hey, now.
Maybe it's me getting Tom back for Time After Time to some extent, too. Who knows?
You just never know.
But yeah, I would recommend this movie.
Yep.
It is interesting.
Me too.
And if you don't do silent movies, this is a good alternative to The Lodger.
Yep.
It's not identical, but it's a good alternative.
All right. Anything else? Anything else? Oh, God. Let me try that again.
Just brush your teeth and you can't do a thing with them, huh?
Don't take my shtick.
Anything else we would like to add about Man in the Attic?
So much for editing any of that shit out. Jesus.
I did watch this on Amazon, so I think it's on Amazon and MGM Plus. So if you want to watch it.
Yeah, did we watch it on Amazon? I don't remember. I lose track of when we get into a string of movies like this. I lose track of where I saw them all.
I don't remember. I know Lodger was on Amazon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was.
I don't remember about this one.
Maybe that's why they recommended that after this one.
Yeah, could be.
uh,
Could be related.
just a little.
All right, on that note, we're going to take a quick break and be back with Geek News for you. And we're back, and it's time for Geek News for you. In this segment, we bring a couple of news items to the table for discussion. This week, it's Mikey and myself. And Mike, would you go first, please, sir?
Oh, sure. I'm bringing, this is actually a little weird for me, I'm bringing a TV-related item, or more specifically, I think streaming, but that's okay. That's basically what TV is becoming anyway. So we actually just today, I believe it was, the BBC dropped the trailer for the new Wallace and Gromit TV movie that's coming out around Christmas time. It is called Wallace and Gromit: Vengeance Most Foul, and that is, of course, F-O-W-L, foul. And so this is, if you're not familiar with Wallace and Gromit, Wallace is an inventor, and it's a British-based claymation thing. Claymation animated type thing. It's real popular. It's been around for years and years. And they're really fun. But yeah, Wallace is an inventor, and he has invented a robotic garden gnome, and a crime wave in his village has made he and the garden gnome have become the primary suspects. And of course, the way Wallace and Gromit works is Wallace gets himself in trouble, and Gromit has to save him from it. Gromit's the dog, by the way. Gromit is an awesome, awesome dog.
Jeez.
And Liz is a fan, which is part of why I chose this. Because yeah, this new little TV movie drops on the BBC streaming stuff or Christmas time, and then it will become available on Netflix a couple of weeks later in January.
Very cool. I like that they've been doing this here lately. I think on Halloween they're supposed to release Over the Garden Wall, which kind of came out the same time as this one. Both very, very, very good. I don't know why they didn't continue with these, but I'm glad they're picking them up now. I'll make Leanne watch them. I mean, yeah, we'll watch them.
Hopefully Leanne will like them. I mean, they're fun.
Yes,
They
sir.
are.
Kind of just the right balance of cleverness and action, and a little bit of mystery. Yep. It's fun stuff. I've seen a few of them myself. I like them.
I think we've even done a show on one, didn't we?
We did when we did the horror month for kids horror. I think we did
the Halloween one.
Gromit, yeah. That's probably the last one I saw, but yep.
Pretty cool.
That is cool to hear. Thanks.
Alrighty. This surprised the hell out of me, but back in the 70s, there was a company called Mego that did produced a lot of toys, including 8-inch action figures that were mainly based off comic properties or license. I know they did like Planet of the Apes and all that kind of stuff, but they came back a few years ago and they've been redoing the DC line of their figures. Well, it has just now come out that starting December they'll start releasing Marvel figures, which is going to be cool. But the thing that really surprised me, and for those who are going to the New York Comic Con this weekend, although by the time this drops, it's going to be over with pretty much, they are doing 4 figures based off the late Atlas Seaboard comics. And that is a publisher that we talked about a long while back.
Yeah, I remember talking about them.
It is confirmed that Friday they will be doing the Grim Ghost, and another one that's going to be available will be Devilina. But they're doing 4. We don't know what the other 2 are, but they're going to be available as at the con as a giveaway. But they'll also be available to be purchased exclusively on Walmart.com in December. So you'll be able to buy those, which I will do that. I will definitely do that. And in a related item, because apparently this totally missed us, because this actually came back out at the end of August. Paramount Pictures is going to be doing a movie based off the character Devilina in hopes of doing a shared universe movie series with these characters.
Okay.
Interesting.
Very interesting. Yeah. And for those who are not familiar with the character, Devilina is a sheltered young woman who journeys to New York in search of her past, only to discover that she is the sister of Satan, and her twin brother has been manipulating her while a detective investigates a series of murders linked to her.
Could be interesting.
Mm-hmm. So I'm floored by this. I mean, Atlas, for those who are not familiar with the line, only existed for like 3 years, maybe. You know, most of the comics only went to 3 issues, if that. Yeah. This was created by Martin Goodman, who was behind Marvel way back during their Timely era. So this was supposed to be the rival for Marvel, which obviously never happened. But a lot of creators who started there or got work there moved over to Marvel or DC, including Howard Chaykin. But Larry Lieber was there, Gary Friedrich was there, Wally Wood did some stuff, a few others that I'm blinking on right now. So this is cool news. This is something I never would have thought of. I remember a couple of years back that the characters had been optioned for doing movies and all that, and I'm like, okay, well, that doesn't mean anything. We hear that all the time. Something being optioned and then nothing comes about it.
Lots of stuff gets optioned, but very rarely does it ever get made.
Yeah. So not only it sounds like we may actually get a movie, but we're going to get some action figures off of comic source that's been gone for 50 years.
Interesting.
Very interesting. So,
Thomas, do you have a character from that line that you would like to see?
well, I'm happy to see Grim Ghost. That would be one. Iron Jaw, which is basically Conan the Barbarian, except for he literally has a iron jaw. It's a kind of steel trap type of jaw. That would be cool to see. Maybe Phoenix, which that would be interesting. I don't know. How about you?
You know what my choice would be?
Demon Hunter?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I would prefer the Chaykin entry into those.
Yeah, well, that was Demon Hunter. I believe it was
No.
Demon Hunter.
No, it was who is the character from the 30s and 40s that he was doing?
Oh, the Scorpion.
Yes, thank
Scorpion.
you.
Okay, right. Okay, yeah. That's right. And that was the base. Yeah, okay. That's right. Okay, yeah. Demon Hunter was Rich Buckler and David Anthony Kraft. I'm sorry.
You got your 50-year-old comic book characters mixed up.
Like they were yesterday.
That's interesting.
I like the idea.
Be interesting to see if the movie does anything.
Be interesting if they do make a movie.
Well, okay, fair enough.
Fair enough. Think positive, man. Think positive. Tiger Man would have been interesting, too. Tiger Man! That was Ernie Cologne's art.
Yeah.
Although Ditko did one of them, too. So Steve Ditko. It would actually be kind of cool if they would actually reprint these as a collection. God. With Dynamite owning the trademark Atlas Comics, but not the characters. Man, it's just that's going to be they're not really using it other than variant covers that are extremely rare. I'm like, why the hell would you do a variant cover and have it listed as Atlas Comics when you're Dynamite Comics? That other than to maintain the rights, it does not make any sense. But what do I know?
Well, you just named it to keep it relevant.
Yeah.
And in their stable.
Alrighty. Any special shout-outs or mentions this week?
No, not me.
Just try and watch these movies. That's all we ask.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Just shining some light on them. That's what we're doing.
All right. We'll move on to our regular shout-outs. First off, I want to thank Pop Goes the Culture for allowing us to be part of a great little podcast network. Recommend that you check everybody out there. We'll have a link in the show notes. We also want you to check out the fine men and women who spread the word of the fellowship on Twitter by retweeting our links, and that is the Podern family. Best way to check them out is to do a search, hashtag Podern family, one word. Just scroll through the list, and whatever catches your eye, by all means, click on that link and download the episode. And we hope you have a great time listening to them. Thank you guys, as always. Want to thank Manny the Martyr for supplying the music to our podcast. In our show notes, you can there will be a link to where you can check out some of their other music. And finally, you, dear listener, thank you for downloading and listening to today's episode. We value your feedback. Any comments, questions, suggestions, observations, complaints, whatever, please send them our way. Our email address is email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. Or you can go to the website, go to the About Us page, and there's a contact form that you can fill out there. We do have a Discord that you're free to join. We have an open invitation on our homepage. Discord is free to sign up, and the apps are free in the app stores. We post a lot of news items, stuff for discussion, stuff to laugh at, stuff, just a lot of good stuff. Come hang out with us at our Discord. On social media, we're on Facebook, The Fellowship of the Geeks. On Instagram and Twitter, we are at Fellowship Geeks. If you like to follow our personal Twitter accounts, Mike can be found at Mikey Geek. Liz can be found at LN_geek. Les may or may not be found at Fake Les Webster. And I can be found at Tom TC Geek. And from wherever you download or listen to our episodes, if you'd be so kind as to rate and review the show, it would be greatly appreciated. Anything else before we say goodbye?
Just thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Appreciate you listening.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We do appreciate the support as always. And until next time, geek on, my friends.
We thank you for listening to the show. Comments, suggestions, and questions can be sent to email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. You can follow us on Facebook at The Fellowship of the Geeks and on Twitter at Fellowship Geeks. Until next time,